It's called Monday.
Monday.
Monday, Thursday.
Not on Monday.
Eh?
Thursday.
It's Monday, Thursday.
Yes.
And it's on Monday, Thursday.
No.
Okay, sawa. It's a Thursday before Good Friday. Okay. And you can't have any other Monday, Thursday, any day that you feel solemn.
No.
Okay.
Unless it's today.
Okay. Sawa. We continue our conversations, and now we're joined by the MP for Saboti constituency, the Honorable Hamisi, who is here with us in the studio. You know, I went to a primary school, a nursery, and so I call you Caleb.
Caleb.
Those who went to other, they call him Caleb.
Caleb, yes.
Yes, Caleb Hamisi.
Is it not Caleb?
Yes, Caleb. I don't know where you went
Caleb,
to.
yeah, to primary school.
The primary school he went.
Primary
The primary
school.
school he went to.
Yeah.
Somewhere in Kajiado.
Yeah.
There it's Caleb.
No, it's Caleb.
All right.
Correction.
Caleb Hamisi
Yeah.
is the member of parliament for Saboti constituency. He joins us now. Karibu sana.
Asante, thank you very much.
That's a hot seat of the situation room.
Yeah, this is the first time I'm here. In fact, I had decided not to honor TV and radio shows.
Hey.
This is the first time this financial year. And I've started with yours, so it's good.
Why had you made that decision, if I may ask?
I think it's just personal because Kenyans are not listening to each other. So no need to talk. Yeah. We are listening maybe, but we are not understanding each other. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
To get into the conversation, listen to C.T. Muga's proverb.
Yes, our proverbs for the whole of this week, which in our timetable ends tomorrow, have been from the Republic of Congo, otherwise known as Congo Brazzaville.
Yeah.
Okay. A pretty basket does not prevent worries.
A pretty basket does not prevent worries.
No, it doesn't.
Ishmael, what do you understand from this proverb?
A pretty basket. I'm actually writing down.
Does not
Does not
prevent worries.
Yeah, you know, proverbs have different meanings depending on the origin. Now, this Congo Brazzaville, I think if you have the same proverbs from elsewhere, maybe the south of Africa, it will have different meaning. So I think the designer of the proverb should be better
Placed.
to explain the deep meaning, not just the surface, face value, the deep meaning.
But you, when you hear it, what do you get from it?
A proverb is not just from the words and how it is put in a sentence. It must have, you must decipher, digest the meaning from the words. If you want to, interpret it from the words, you'll not get the purpose of the proverbs. Proverbs are not just there. They originate from somewhere, and they're from situations, and from a deep meaning. And that's why they say from Congo. It's not universal. Yeah, so there is a reason why it's from Congo. That's why I say it's not from, Taiwan.
You have to understand the context
exactly.
of the people of Congo.
Exactly.
The Wahenga of Congo.
And at what period maybe that proverbs was designed. Yeah, so
it's a nice way of dodging.
It's not good to misinterpret Congolese proverbs.
You have really
This
dodged
is too
this
early.
question. It's okay. We will give you a pass. From here, you're heading down the road all the way to Machakos County.
Yes.
To Manzoni.
Yeah. I
Where
think
you-
it's Toniathi.
It's Toniathi. So
Yeah.
into Machakos County.
More or less the same direction.
Into where you and the fellow Azimio leaders are meeting.
Yes.
This is legislators, into governors and others.
Yes.
And the principals.
Yes.
And you're meeting to discuss the bipartisan talks and what shape they should take and how you should present yourselves before that. Yes, was it yesterday, 2 days ago, you tweeted and said, on Thursday, I will lead Azimio in rejecting all Ruto proposals. You cannot trust that man. If he lied to millions desperate hustlers, he would lie to anybody, anytime. He has never believed in reforms. To him, the end justifies the means. The big no. What are you saying a big no to, Mheshimiwa?
Yeah, I'm saying a big no to the so-called bipartisan parliamentary process. First of all, Parliament, we are in a Commonwealth jurisdiction. Kenya falls under the Commonwealth. And our Parliament, the working of our Parliament is borrowed heavily from other jurisdictions. We do not operate in a vacuum. We see what happens elsewhere. There's nothing like bipartisan Parliament. Parliament is a room of debate, and is a room of, the majority have their way, minority have their say. Unless you redesign our Parliament to look different, that means also you have to look at our constitution. Then we are in another wild goose chase. Okay, the hot air, we were told by the Supreme Court. So the reason why I'm saying this is because you've seen the millions who are on the street. Those are the so-called hustlers whom the president, the current president, promised that their life will experience miracles once they get to State House. And they are still on the streets. Nothing tangible whatsoever in terms of making laws, in terms of executive pronouncement that is geared towards hustlers, apart from the hustlers fund, which is still a mirage. It's something that people don't understand how it can, radically change from being a hustler to a rich person or to a dynasty, whatever the case might be. First of all, there is nowhere in this world that somebody has ever attended to the seat of power by promising hustlers or the low class people to, an overnight shift in their social status. Nowhere. So this is going to backfire on him. He thought it is very cheap to go to State House using the poor. And the poor have taken you there. So what next? It is so unfortunate that we don't have laws to hold on to account the promises and the manifestos and the blueprint you see being flooded all over the media during the election time. I wish that it become a criminal offense to give fake promises. For any presidential candidate to come out and give fake promises, it must be a criminal offense.
Why only presidential?
Otherwise, yes.
Why only presidential?
Because that is really where manifestos and the blueprints. I don't think I rarely see MCAs or women rep parading their blueprints in media or on national newspapers of national circulation. It is only the presidential we see printed out manifestos of national importance, because we are talking about the highest seat on the land.
But even you, when you were campaigning in Saboti, you were making promises in
Thank
the campaign
you. Fair enough. Let's also get down to even to the MCS. Not a problem. But the point is, we must criminalize fake promises.
Okay.
Otherwise, as a country, we are, if you look at the U.S. Politics, if Obama says that I'm going to work on the healthcare, then he comes with the Obamacare. He makes it his agenda. He makes sure that it passes through the Congress. The next time he goes for election, the Americans hold him to account. And they are judging his second term based on what he achieved in relation to his manifesto. Here, in Kenya, since Kibaki's time, we've had Vision 2030. Then, right now, nobody's talking about Vision 2030 anymore. It was 2030. We are in 2026.
23.
We are in 2023.
7 years to go.
7 years to go, and nobody's talking about Vision 2030 anymore. So what was the purpose of it?
Okay.
Then we had We had the stadium. I've seen on the newspaper the stadium, the billionaire stadium, stadium billionaires.
Millionaires.
Or millionaires.
Yeah.
We had the stadium proposals by the Jubilee government. What became of it? In the middle of their administration, they came with Big Four. So nobody's talking about Big Four anymore. Then now we are talking about hustler fund, something that is neither here or there, is not understood by anybody. What is it? How do you change a life of somebody by giving peanuts?
Let's go back to the
So
first
in brief, this country is being run down right in our faces.
And is that the reason why? Because, I mean, you went from, the bipartisan side of it and say, look, first of all, the way that Parliament is set up, it is not possible to be bipartisan, right? So maybe that's the structure of all of this. But the very spirit of this conversation, is that then hinged on these things that you've spoken about? And to say, look, why are we having a conversation about things for which there's no foundation? Is that what I'm hearing you say? So even going to up the road or having this conversation 7 against 7 or with 7, you're saying that the foundation is not going to work for these conversations.
Yeah, first of all,
place.
whatever we are going to do in Stony Athi, I don't think is about selecting members from both sides. We are going to digest what happened, what transpired on Sunday. We are going to get a report from the principals because the whole country is still shocked.
So you did not expect this.
We didn't
Okay,
expect.
so what? Okay, let's. Okay, I withdraw my question.
Okay.
And,
Let
and
us now
substitute another with another.
Put another one.
So do
So
I
what
also
do you guys-
withdraw my answer? and
No, your
substitute
answer is
another?
fine. So what we are saying essentially,
Yeah.
Mheshimiwa, is that before you even start going to bipartisan talks, you guys are in shock about what was said on Sunday. You are surprised that this is where you are today.
Yeah, we are shocked of what the president, the president has taken a joke of what has happened in the country. The reason why you saw millions of Kenyans, the former prime minister just erupts out of nowhere, in the middle of nowhere in Nairobi, and all of a sudden a crowd mills around him. Out of nowhere, just come out of a sunroof and the crowd is there. What is the message? What are these crowds coming on the streets? It's because somebody is carrying their message. And their message was they are hungry. Their message was not that let's go to Parliament and solve IBC. IBC is just an agenda of politicians. It is not an agenda of Kenyans. Right now, Kenyans are not in a political mood. Kenyans are hungry. They will listen about IBC later. So for a president to come out with a press conference just to talk about constitution of IBC, that was just a one item of the Azimio demands. And you've made it look like it was the only demand that you are having. In fact, I was expecting that the president will have seen the millions of people on the street and felt something. Maybe consulted and asked his powers around him that what are these people doing on the street? Yeah, even if you want to kill, you can't kill all of them. What are they doing on the street? Ask yourself as a president. What are they on a Monday or a Thursday, a day that they're supposed to be working? What are they doing on the streets? Millions. Okay, that is a question, the fundamental question any president must be bothered.
So what
and
should
if
he
you are
have
not
said?
bothered by millions of people on the street on a Monday at 2 p.m. and a Thursday at 2 p.m. all over in the villages, okay? That means they're at home. They're not in town. They're at home. Doing what? So you are a president of what? An idle Kenyan?
So, Mheshimiwa, what should the president have said on Sunday?
The president should have, first of all, internalized that the reason why people are carrying sufrias and, demanding, now they're actually saying, some are throwing ungas and they are making a message that we are hungry, the cost of living is high. They are saying, they are not even saying that Baba Tosha, no.
Okay, so
They are not
what
even
should he have?
demanding that Baba should be there. They are saying that we are hungry. The president must have a halt and stop and reason why are millions of Kenyans are bleeding, hungry on the street. The question number one the president should have answered is, how is he going to reduce the cost of living? Number one. Then number two, address IBC. Number three, address servers. The reason why Kenyans are ready to die, and most of them are dead, is because they're hungry, and they will die anyway out of hunger.
But in calling for the bipartisan talks, is he not saying, let's meet and address all the demands that have been raised by the Azimio side? Because that's what the president said.
The primary responsibility of any government, because he's the president now, whether we contest it or not, somebody is holding that position, and it is him. The primary responsibility is one, to protect the lives of people, which is not, is killing them instead. And secondly, of course, you must look at the living condition of your people you are leading. It is not the responsibility of the opposition or of parliament. So being a president, you don't even need to talk to opposition for you to solve the living condition of your people. You don't need to. And then why are you a president? Just resign. Just say, I'm unable. Meanwhile, I want to talk to the opposition. Meanwhile, I want to resign.
Wow.
What would you do if you were the president to address the cost of living?
I wish you said when I become the president.
Okay, when you become
When you become the president, we hope that people will not be hungry. Okay? Because we'll be holding on to this for too long.
Yeah,
If
because
you-
I can't.
When you become president and if people are hungry,
What would you do?
what
to
would you
solve
do?
the problem?
Yeah.
Yeah, trust me, people will not be hungry during my reign.
You know, everybody says that. Huh?
Not everybody. I'm not everybody. I'm
would-
one person. You have invited me as an individual. Caleb
What
Hamisi.
would you do?
First of all, what causes hunger? Okay, why are you today? You've taken breakfast. Why? Unless you've not taken breakfast, I'm assuming from the look of your face, you are very happy, excited. I'm not
I have
sure
had
whether
some
you are happy
breakfast.
to see me. It's because you've had a nice breakfast. It's because you have a salary you are earning. There is something in your pocket. The problem of this country is not our politics. Is because we are struggling on a small cake that is continuously diminishing. We've never sat down as a nation to look at the economic progress of our country. And that's why I said, once I've said and I repeat, this country does not need a new president or a different president. It needs an economic council to look at the economic capacity of our country. If you ask ourselves, what is our backbone, our economic backbone? It used to be agriculture. Is it anymore? No. Countries have overtaken us. Look at our flowers. You'll find better flowers from Netherlands, Denmark, elsewhere. Look at our tea. It's no longer being talked about in the international market. Look at our coffee. It's no longer being talked about in the national market. I see Kenyans flocking to Dubai. Do they know Dubai 15 years ago was a desert? They're just flocking there. They don't know. Do you know people think it is about oil and all that, but oil is continuously diminishing. They made Dubai attractive to the international flow of money. People are relating Kenya to Singapore. Do they know what is this miracle that made Singapore reach where it is? And until you can never know whether Singapore has an election or not. But Kenya, the whole world knows that our election is 2027. Singapore, do you even know the president of Singapore?
Caleb,
You don't know.
all those
Okay.
things that you're saying.
Let me finish because I'm driving to where
you.
you want to go. Okay, let me finish. Is the reason that we've never learned in your local setup, a country is just like you as an individual. If you used to play with a friend in primary and you studied hard, your friend was just busy fighting with his colleagues, looking for girls, and then now you are a doctor and he's still there wondering what became of me. We used to be with this person. We used to play together. That's what Kenya is saying, that at some point, Singapore and Kenya were at par. We used to play together. What happened? Singapore has no mineral. It has no oil. It has no natural gas. What is this miracle they did? They just positioned themselves to attract the global flow of income. Okay? So the journey that Singapore traveled, I see, this is the journey that Kenya needs to travel. Not this continuous politicking that has no end, that is just leaving poor people in the street. We must have a council that look at what is our strength as a nation. Is it our education? Is it the education that is making the world Kenya attractive? We don't have minerals. So what can we sell to the world? Now, once we answer that question, then we come back to the leadership. But we are now fighting on a small cake that nobody is thinking about growing it.
You know, my question is, if it was Caleb Hamisi in State House on Sunday afternoon addressing the people, what would you have said?
What would you have told?
First of all,
Because he said the one thing that you did not hear him addressing
Yeah.
is the reason why people are out in the streets carrying sufurias and talking about cost of living. You didn't hear him say that, and he should have
Exactly.
started with that. So if it was you, what would you have said that would make people feel, this president gets us?
The first thing you should have done is just remove subsidies.
Remove.
Okay. I mean,
Introduce.
not remove. Sorry, to introduce subsidies.
Okay.
One, on of course the major consumption items like maize. Secondly, on fuel that is driving our economy. You've seen people crying, even the middle class. They're crying about the high cost of living. That means also they're also affected by the high cost of electricity. The first thing you should have touched, there are three basic needs of a human being. Three, IBC is not one of them. Is housing, food, and clothing, shelter. Okay? IBC is not one of those basic needs. If you can't, as a government, 50 years down after independence, you can't address three basic needs. That's why people are in the streets crying. We've not reached a point where you've seen in France, people are not crying of food. People are on the street, yes, but they're crying about other things on another level. Okay?
Mashima, can I ask you a question?
Okay.
We have had individuals come to this studio from the Azimio side as well as the Kenya Kwanza side. And the question we've posed to those who belong to the Azimio side is, yes, you are standing in front of the problems that exist and you're highlighting them, and the demonstration brings them clearer to light. But what solutions are you proposing? Because telling us the problem that we can all see and highlighting it has its purpose, yes. But solution, when you say subsidies, you know, most people don't even understand what a subsidy is. When you say it's a subsidy, what exactly should the government do so that this subsidy can be realized? So you say this is a subsidy. And when you say bring it down to what? Because Kenya Kwanza argue, but the price of maize, unga has gone down. It was 200 and God knows what. It's now 1 something. What are we looking for? Are we looking for the price to be reduced, the cost of it to be reduced, or are we looking for maize meal that is affordable, that people can afford? And this thing which is affordable, how much should it be?
Yeah, do you think that is a question to ask the opposition or the government?
It's a question to ask the opposition. Because the opposition ought to be saying, these guys have failed in this, and what they ought to do is this, and this is how they ought to do it.
Now, the work of opposition is not to direct or give...
Actually, it is.
Okay, let me ask you. You know, when you are in the opposition, does not mean you are condemned there. You also want to go to the government, okay? And if you give all you want to do to the nation, to the government to do, to implement, then how
Then
will
you'll
you
have
ever,
nothing to do when you come to.
okay? How will you ever even get there? Not even when it comes to government.
So you need to keep
How
some,
will you
keep
ever
some in your
get
pocket.
there? Okay?
Okay.
Ours is to tell the problem. So solve it. It is how you do it is not our problem. The problem is Kenyans are hungry. Government, go ahead. Not to tell you at now
Solutions?
Kenyans are hungry. These are solutions for you.
No.
No, we want to get you out of the government. Once we get to that government, we will give the solutions ourselves.
Who will put you in government?
And the people.
The people.
And the reason why we
the
are
people
saying,
will put you in government
Yes.
because you will demonstrate to them this is how we can do it.
we already did.
Okay.
We've demonstrated.
No, they didn't put you in government when you demonstrated. Let's deal with the facts. You told them what you told them, they didn't put you in government. Now here you are. The ones that they listen to are in government, but they're not addressing the issues, as you say. So the thing would be to say, this is how much better would perform if you give us the opportunity. And I think that's what City is asking. If it's a cost of living, the government is telling us what it's doing. Okay? It's addressing it medium to long term. You are saying it should be an emergency, it should be an immediate issue. What is this immediate issue that you would do?
So
if you said that and the government was still prevaricating, then we'd say, you government, get out, let's put in Caleb Hamisi. He has an idea that can feed us tomorrow.
An idea of which we shared during the election. There is a platform elsewhere that you share except the platform of an election. And the former Prime Minister did highlight his, 10 points on what he wants to do for the country. If you can do the research, you'll find out. It's just a matter of Kenyans comparing which is a better manifesto to this one, okay? So it's not an everyday that opposition must come to give solutions to the government.
The 10-point Raila Odinga manifesto did not talk about Unga subsidy.
Do you have them?
It did not have the Unga subsidy.
Do you have them?
We'll go into a break. I'll pull it out.
Yes, just pull out, because he had a clear way. In fact,
it had a lefsita.
Yeah.
It did not have Unga ya 100.
Probably the lives of Kenyans could have improved beyond Unga ya 100. But the point is, manifestos are not specifically direct to an item. It is the overall being of a nation. How you want to take care of the poor, the health sector, the education sector, the transport sector. So it's a whole thing. You can't just say your Unga was 100 and the Kenya Kwanza Unga was 200. No, it doesn't go to those specifics.
Okay, let's take a break.
Let's take a break. The good thing is that the manifesto of Raila Odinga is there. Versus compare
the Kenya Kwanza manifesto. Let's take a break. 26 minutes to 9. We're having a conversation with the Honorable Caleb Hamisi. He's the MP for Saboti constituency. He's also a member of the Defense and Foreign Relations Committee. Yeah,
and the Vice Chair of Public Investments Committee.
And the Vice Chair of the Public Investments Committee on
Agriculture, Social Service, and Administration.
Kwanza hiyo agriculture. Haya. Let's continue this conversation shortly. Mheshimiwa, there's something called Showmax. This
Nivea Pearl and Beauty Deodorant. The perfect balance of 48-hour protection and care for soft, smooth, and beautiful underarms. Try our new Pearl and Beauty Black Pearl for smooth and perfumed underarms.
Drought can be very dehumanizing. It breeds poverty, and there's no dignity in poverty. So as we fight drought, we are also bringing dignity to these communities. We need to really continue pulling together.
Our guest today. I really fell in love with this house because I've always wanted to move to the beach, and when I looked at this house, it was very like Lamu-like or like beachy.
She is none other than Tatiana Karanja.
I think the one thing that I've learned is that tough times everything is going to be tough. Every single step of the way is going to be tough, but it's the way in which we handle it and it's the perspective in which we handle each situation.
She invites us to her home to have a look around and to have a conversation. Let's discover, explore, and engage.
Mia! Can you send me that?
Will you send me that? Not you, Mia.
Hey, can you send me that?
Fresh recipes, different chefs, tantalizing meals, memorable tastes.
You're going to enjoy this. Remember, this is 2PK, this is KTN, and you're enjoying your favorite show.
Only on 2PK.
My name is Edwin Kibet Koech. I'm 20 years of age. I work with the Ron TV International Limited here in Nairobi, Kenya. It's an international company. I work as a DOP. And by the way, for youth, we are very arrogant people. Hatutakangi kuambiwa kitu ya kufanya. Take note from these old people. Mazetu si kwa tumewadharau, lakini they're very wise. They know what they're saying. They can't mislead you. Fanya kazi unafanya na passion. Fanya to the fullest. Do it as if you'll never do it again. Deliver. Deliver, man.
Mm-hmm. 21 minutes to 9. The conversation continues with the Member of Parliament for Saboti constituency, the Honorable Hamisi. He's here on his way to Machakos County, where he and other Azimio leaders will be meeting today to deliberate on the talks. And Caleb is saying, I am going there to convince my people. Don't listen to what the Kenya Kwanza administration is saying. These people are playing with us. You don't think that Parliament is the right place to have this conversation because Parliament will not deliver results for Kenyans?
Yeah. First of all, Parliament was compromised. We had the highest number of members from Azimio side. Tables changed. We are told money and all other things exchanged hands to a level where now we became minority. We are supposed to be majority. And continuously, members have been swayed and promised goodies. Promised. The word is promised. Whether they'll get or not.
Different story.
The problem is that Parliament has been compromised. Now, in a such a scenario where Parliament has been heavily invaded by the executive, it becomes not a central fair arbiter in any bipartisan matter. Secondly, there is no standing order. We operate with standing order and the Constitution. There is no standing order that the President quoted where a bipartisan resolution can be made through Parliament. At the end of the day, everything in this country has rules and regulations. In judiciary, you have what we call jurisprudence and how you determine matters before the court. In Parliament, we follow the standing orders. And whenever you say something in Parliament, even when you recall people from recess, even you call members of Parliament from recess, the Speaker always quotes the standing order. I didn't see the President quoting the standing order under which the bipartisan process will be undertaken.
How are those standing orders created, by the way?
They are created, reviewed by members of Parliament. Over many years, they have been reviewed.
And the majority normally determines whether it is there or not.
No.
How do you determine?
Yeah, the standing orders is of course it has been there for a while. What has gone through is the constant reviews and the change of specific acts.
What I'm asking is, how do you agree on the change of these standing orders?
Does everybody participate?
Everybody participate. Of course, we vote on it. Majority carries the day. Of course, after going through the relevant committees, and then it becomes the floor of the House. But this is in regard to if you want to change something that stands in order. Okay.
This government has shown us very clearly that even when there's a law that is inconvenient, they will change it.
Yes.
So what stops them from changing standing orders?
Yeah,
because they have a majority.
They can change the standing order now because they have the majority.
Yes.
But already you are not being bipartisan because you'll use the majority of the government. You'll not use the majority of the opposition. So you started the process in non-bipartisan way. So how will now the end be bipartisan?
Much more we're discussing politics. You know, I have found this conversation strange.
Yes.
Coming from the Azimio side.
Yes.
Blaming the government for taking their members. It's you who can't hold on to your members. I mean, surely.
No.
If the members are there and they belong to you and then somebody takes them, clearly you can't hold on to them because if you could, they would stay.
It's just bad manners. You know, if a country, we want to use every loophole in our constitution or in our electoral act to commit mischief, and then and they still say, oh, you could not do this. You know, in a parliamentary, presidential system, where we have different parties that makes up parliament, what we call parliamentary parties. We are guarded as a person elected on this particular party or a coalition of parties. That if you don't agree with your party, people shift parties, then go back to the election. We are not saying we want to hold on to you, okay? If you and your wife, you've had even a child and you still divorce. So what about a member of a coalition or a member of a party? Divorcing from his party is allowed. But we are asking you, go to the other side. These people elected you on an Azimio, believing that you are going to parliament, propagate Azimio agenda. Then you cross the other side. So go back and ask them that I do not believe in Azimio anymore. Then they'll elect you on Kenya Kwanza. As simple as that. It's just good manner. We can celebrate and say, Azimio, you can't hold on to this. Then, but as a country, we are destroying our own democracy. Because we must own up to what we've put as our parameters of operating our democracy.
What you say is true, Mheshimiwa, but I see it. You brought in the analogy of a married couple. The conversation one hears when they part and say, the woman goes to another man, ati huyo mwanaume amenyang'anya mtu bibi. Instead of, the other conversation could be, bibi amewacha huyu mtu akaenda huko. But you don't hear that conversation. The conversation is amenyang'anywa. As though the person who moved didn't have a say in where they're supposed to go.
Okay. Ameenda. Ameenda kwa nyumba ingine.
That is the thing, ameenda.
Sasa, huyu mwanaume hajakuja kwa nyumba yangu. Ameenda. Okay? But if that man now comes to your house with your wife, inside your house. So that's why I said, go to that house. Seek a fresh mandate and go.
You know the problem with
Parliament? Don't use our house to do your mischief.
Actually, Parliament,
that is the same thing.
Parliament is polygamous because you are all in that house.
Yes.
All of you.
Yeah.
So even that movement, it's academic because it's not as though somebody has changed parties. They are still in the party they were in, but their affiliation and interest is elsewhere. So again, what we are discussing here is our politics, and it gets the heart of the matter, how we practice our politics, when it favors us and when it doesn't favor us.
You are getting completely wrong. And I think it's good to use this good medium to educate our Kenyans.
Please.
Because we passed what we call an electoral act. And it was so specific.
Yes.
Remember, even the Right Honorable Prime Minister, once upon a time, disagreed with this party. Was it Ford Kenya? He went back to electorate in Kibra. Okay, it was used to be called the Langata constituency. He went back to the electorate. Those were many years ago. Now we've even reformed, we've revised, we expect even things to be better. Now, in the 20 years down the line, a person cannot resign. Why are you fearing to resign and go back if you think people believe in where you have gone? It's because of bad manners of politics. You want to use a party and dump it. Now, this MP of Nyanza, who has gone from another party, is it PDP or Ocheng? That MP could not get elected unless he said Raila for president. as much as he was in another party. Why didn't he say Ruto? He'll not be elected, okay? So this is just bad manners, that you use somebody, you get elected, and then you dump him. That is not what our constitution and the political parties envisage.
So
no.
it seems as though, Mheshimiwa, that there are many issues that are layered here in terms of what the problem really is. But the national conversation at this point is there were protests that were going on, and the president did come out and say on Sunday, look, okay, let's have a conversation about how we can solve this. Okay, so if you do some chronology here. So the major issue that he brought to the table was this constitution of the IEBC and said, okay, guys, come and let us do this together. But again, I'm going to ask you, it seems as though there are very many other issues that you're still taking issue with and are saying, you're going back to tell Azimio people essentially that all of these things have not been considered. We cannot take this conversation as though it is going to soothe everything where there are many other contentious issues that have not been handled. And now here we see another one coming up, that they've taken a lot of our people to the other side and are still coming to our house to have their honeymoon. And we cannot have that happen. So there are very many other issues that are taking center stage here. So suffice to say that the long and short of all of this conversation is that you don't want it to happen.
You don't want bipartisan.
You don't want bipartisan. There are many other conversations that are not happening. So then essentially, what does that mean?
Yeah. I think bipartisan, the word is okay. Maybe the medium that they have chosen, which is parliament, is what we think is not.
Okay.
I don't think the Azimio side, and I've listened to the Prime Minister speak, the former Prime Minister, is ready for talks, okay? Only that he has said parliament is not the route. Why? Because parliament is executive controlled. And you cannot have that one as a bipartisan forum of engagement. That has been very consistent on that. And he has given proposals that what happened in 2007 and 2008, we had a similar scenario, and we had a better way of engaging. The reason why we are saying Ruto, and me particularly, those are my words. I don't find Ruto very honest. I've seen his consistency. It's not there the way he can promise people heaven and bring, people down to hell. It has been there, and you've seen people suffering. He thought that he's going to make a difference, and people went on the street. They said dynasty versus the hustlers, and you see people are still suffering. He has ignored them. He has followed another trajectory. 2027, he'll come up with another. You can be a master in some areas, but it's not conducive, is not good for a nation. You can't play a nation like that, okay? There are people who will praise him that, he's a good politician, he's sharp, he knows how to play politics. But is it good for a nation? You can play those politics in a constituency somewhere
But is it good for the constituents?
Exactly. But now, even on the higher level, a nation that is so heterogeneous. This is not a homogeneous society. It's heterogeneous, where tribes, ethnics, ethnicity is rife. Our political competition is based on tribe, where people need to feel the part and parcel of the nation. When you hear people seceding, that we want to secede, that if our numbers don't matter, then let's get our own country, then that it means not the whole country are not feeling that they are part of this nation. The first thing as a nation, when they say the president is the symbol of national unity, that was not a joke. It was not just a mere statement in the constitution. You are supposed to be a symbol of that. Even if I'll give you an example. You don't know Saboti very well. Maybe you are a near because you schooled there. Saboti is the most cosmopolitan constituency you can find in the Republic of Kenya. All tribes are there. I come from a minority. I have still been elected twice on a party that is predominantly not a party of that area. People don't look at me as a tribe. They don't look at me as a political party. They look at my potential to unite that constituency. That all tribes are feeling that if it is Caleb, we are okay. That's what a president needs. That even if I didn't vote for him, me as a Luo, I'll feel I'm okay in this country. But if I'm feeling I'm not even, they don't want to be to change their life. They just want a belonging, that we belong to this nation. What did I do? my constituency was porous in terms of a one tribe feeling that they've been left out for many years, perennially. I accommodate them. I choose some of their peoples in my office, and yet they didn't vote for me, so that they feel comfortable. I made sure that most of my development areas were projects were directed to that particular area that felt left out. I made sure that most people in the bursary program, they are from that area. What happened in my second election? I won by twice the margin for the last election, because now those people now felt, if this is how this guy is going to lead us, then now let us vote for him. So that's what a president needs to do. Those people didn't believe in you. Don't tell them they are not shareholders of this company. Don't tell them that, because in that case they say, okay, we thought we were just expressing ourselves. Now it has come to this end. You made them feel bitter and the pain that, okay, we are just here to give taxes to people as we are less of a human being. The moment you run a country like that, the moment you bring a country to that point, then you can only achieve anarchy in that nation.
Mheshimiwa, I have a question.
Yes.
So you said you are not opposed to bipartisan talks, only that you don't think that Parliament is the best platform.
Yes.
Now, your leadership in Parliament has already said yes to talks. Even your leadership at Azimio, the principals, have said yes to talks. How would you propose that these talks be structured?
Yeah, in my proposal is that, I don't know, this is mine. I don't know, don't say this is how Azimio has decided.
It is Caleb.
It is Caleb.
You've come back to Caleb. It's Caleb.
I want to bring you to a level where we can.
You're coming to my
level. Comfortable.
Okay. I don't want to leave you behind. Yeah. So, in my opinion, I believe that the president needs to look what pains this nation. We are covering it. We are sugarcoating it. But the problem of this nation is that people believe that two tribes will forever rule us. And these other tribes are left into oblivion forever. And it is not changing anytime soon. It needs to address that. Uhuru tried to just talk about it. Yeah, but nothing much. He never actualized anything, actions. He just talked about it. He just felt. But the president needs to know that part of this nation is feeling that they'll never, or their sons and daughters will never get an opportunity to be at State House. That is the root cause of our problems. The rest, we are adding, soup, whatever, inside the pudding. But the root cause is that this nation is divided, and it will divided forever.
Okay.
Politically.
Solution.
And he needs to do that. Now, countries have designed ways of surviving. Switzerland, for example. Switzerland had this problem of regional imbalance in terms of national leadership. What Switzerland did, but because of their 7 regions, they decided that let's have 7 ministers. And each one of those ministers become a president for 1 year. So they have a council of 7 ministers. And every year, a minister serves as a president. And they rotate. It's called the rotation of presidents. Now, Switzerland is calm, very stable. They don't even have an army, of themselves. They have nothing to protect. The country is cohesive. Okay, because they decided to attack the root cause of the problem. Every part of Switzerland feels that we are a Switzerland. In this country, we are not Kenya. There's no country called Kenya, for your information. If you are in this town and you are attacked, for example, your tribe, say a Kikuyu is attacked. Another Kikuyu say, huyu anachezea Mkikuyu mwenzangu. If it is a Luo, another Luo will say, na huyu ni Mluo mwenzangu. If it is a Kamba, Akamba will erupt and say, hey, huyu ameshika Mkamba mwenzangu. If a Kenyan is attacked, there's no any Kenyan will come and say, huyu ameshika Mkenya mwenzangu. There is nothing like a Kenyan. We must bring a country called Kenya. We don't have a nation.
So what's the route to that?
I said different countries have designed different ways. I gave an example of Switzerland. In my view, it is not enough to rotate because we are 42 tribes. You can't rotate 42 tribes in terms of presidency for 5 years and manage. Okay, I think the best is expansion of either the executive, so that different regions have a potential of maybe their son and daughter getting a position somewhere, and say if the Speaker of the National Assembly comes from this region, then the Speaker of the Senate must come from this region. Then the Deputy President must come from this region. Then the President must come from this region. And the Attorney General, the KRA,
we mix them up.
We mix up.
Good ideas.
It must have.
So how do we get them onto the table? If you're not going to take them to Parliament, how do you?
First of all, you must breed that idea before you take to Parliament to process it. That's why I say you don't go in a bipartisan Parliament that is already divided. You can see the way they are talking. Do they look like people who can, reason in Parliament? No. They are coming chest stamping that this is our government. Our government. You give it. Even if they won by 200,000 votes, you are still celebrating your government by only 200,000 after campaigning for 5 years with state resources, with hustlers alongside. You are still only manage a party 200,000. That means you are on an edge.
So what is the breeding ground for these ideas?
Yes.
What do you want? How do you want those ideas to be canvassed?
These ideas, I said the president, the kind president needs to sober up. He needs to leave a legacy and say he's the person. In fact, the economy might collapse in your hands. But if you solve this political issue forever, you leave a legacy. You can even rest for the rest of the 10 years you want to serve there. Because you'll have solved something for the nation forever. People live, it's easy to get to State House. But so what? You were in State House, what did you leave? Legacy. People leave a legacy. And say, so and so. You will see Americans, every president refer to J.F. Kennedy when they are campaigning. All of candidates will say J.F. Kennedy. Roosevelt, they'll refer to people who have been part and parcel of the change system of the government.
So this president ought to?
He ought to solve a political problem of this country. Okay. And he can go home and rest. He leave the economic issue, we'll sort it ourselves.
Mheshimiwa, thank you for joining us. Caleb Hamisi is the Member of Parliament for Saboti constituency. He's been here telling us about his thoughts and ideas of the best way forward as he heads down to Machakos for the meeting. Keep it here for more conversations. Good morning. It's 9 a.m.